Hello once again, everybody, at Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing. I am here today joined by Steve Egersdorf of Wyoming, Minnesota, formerly St. Paul. Nice to see you, Steve.
Pleasure.
We're down today at Superior for the Twin 25s big late model show. Steve, the reason why I'm interviewing you is for the incident that happened at Hibbing on Labor Day many years ago, back in probably the early 80s. Do you remember what year that was?
No, I don't.
That was, I think, the early 80s, mid 80s at the latest.
That would be applicable, I would think, yes.
But I think that was the very first Labor Day shootout. And Bobby Girardi was very instrumental in getting that program together. And I remember after that all went down, he tells me, he goes, "Oh boy, look what happened, doggone." He was so depressed and upset that, you know, there was an incident, and a few other guys told him, "Bobby, that's the best thing ever happened. If we did that every year, we couldn't get enough seats in this place."
Yeah.
So you need some excitement. But so early 80s, mid 80s, we figure.
Okay.
A lot of people know what happened, but for some people on the page, you might not really know exactly what happened. But I'd like to get your side of the story. What happened?
What happened? Well, Hibbing being a one-lane racetrack like it always was back in those days, there was a preferred line. And I'm not real good at recollecting dates and times and all those things, but I'll do the best I can for you. And there was a yellow flag, which there was always many of them at the Labor Day races because it was so slick and slippery, and they kept lining the cars up, and I had a line that I was running either low or high, I'm not sure what it was, and everybody else was running the opposite side of it. And they seemed to think that because everybody else lined up on the high side, I should line up there too. So I lined up more on the bottom side in my position.
And this was a single file lineup.
Single file lineup back then, because they didn't even know about Delaware restarts at that time.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, they weren't on the map with those.
Much less have transponders or receivers or anything like that. You know. So I guess the gist of it was I was lining up in out of the nose to tail line, and they didn't like that, and they decided that they were going to black flag me because I wouldn't go in line.
So you didn't jump the gun, you didn't do anything like that. You just weren't following exactly behind the car in front of you.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
And they didn't like that.
And they didn't like that. And it was a thing about from the best I could gather, it was something that the flagman it was his doing, and he decided that that's what he wanted, and that was going to happen, and so then he decided that he was going to show his authority and he was going to black flag me.
So they went right to the black flag. They didn't like put you to the back or put you 2 cars back.
Nope.
They just instant black flag.
Yep.
And so therefore you weren't happy.
Oh, that would be an understatement.
Was that the maddest you've ever been in your racing career?
Probably not.
Oh,
it used to happen quite often.
Oh, really? So you've gotten upset before, is what you're saying?
Maybe once or twice.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah. So then what happened?
So then they decided that at that time they left the cars rotating around the track. They didn't stop them, and so evidently one of the lineup guys decided that he was going to jump on my car because and pull the coil wire off. He was going to jump on the hood and reach around and pull the coil wire off, which was going to be quite a process for him to do, seeing that it didn't have a coil wire. I was running a magneto.
Yeah, so he was going to have a tough time pulling.
So he couldn't pull off a coil wire and make it stop, and even if he did get the ignition wire, it just means I couldn't shut the car off. It was still going to run.
And it was my understanding that was the president, Ed Clement, at the time that did that. He got on your car to...
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
You know, I was 8, 10 years old in the grandstand seeing this.
Yep.
Scared the bejesus out of me. It was one of the craziest things I've seen as a young kid. You know, nowadays you see something like that, you enjoy it probably.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So as he's kind of he got on your hood.
He got on the hood of my car with his feet. He was laying on the hood, like spread eagle, with his seat facing forward, and I had decided that I didn't want him there. So, and I was still moving when he hopped on. So I continued moving, and I just turned the steering wheel back and forth trying to shake them off.
And you went around the complete
racetrack till I got to 4.
Now, he was being combative with you, or were you being combative with him?
Well, he was trying to stop my car, and he was holding on to the hood. So I mean, I figured he wasn't going anywhere. But if I had the chance to knock him off the side, I was going to do so.
But so anyways, you make it to corner 4.
Yep.
Was he still on your car then at corner 4?
Yes, he was.
And then I remember a wrecker pulled out.
Yep.
Which was Louis Vital from Chisholm, who jumped in the wrecker with an attempt to stop you.
And he did.
And he hit you right like in the back end or something, right?
He turned left when he got alongside of me and hit the left rear tire of my car.
So he kind of like did a pit maneuver, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah. And tore the rear end right out of the car.
Was it a hard hit?
Oh yeah.
And did you have your seatbelts and helmet on at the time?
Oh yeah, we're racing, you know.
Okay.
So
well, it was quite a standoff, though. I remember there was quite a few minutes went by because in the meantime they had called law enforcement to try to help get you kindly escorted out of the premises, I guess.
Yep.
And so your rear end's broke, the wrecker smashed into you.
Yep.
And so then that's it, game over. Get out of the car
and I was gonna beat the race car or the tow truck driver silly.
Oh, so you were mad at him?
Oh, well, why wouldn't I be?
Well,
he's the one that did it.
Yeah. So I assume a crowd kind of ensued. And
kidding.
And then before too long, then I'm assuming the sheriffs were there to.
Yep. And they wanted to stop the altercation that was happening or whatever. And so they escorted me back to the pits, which was kind of between 3 and 4, I guess, where it kind of is now, so to speak.
Yeah, that used to be the entrance to the racetrack for the pit. Yeah.
And they told me that I should probably be in my best interest to get in the back of that police car.
And so then you end up.
So I got in the back of the police car, and on the way walking over there was quite a few racers that had come up to me because now the red flag was out and everything was stopped because there was all kinds of problems.
Mayhem.
Being the mayhem. You know?
and so now one of your nicknames is Slammer.
Yeah, that's my nickname.
Did you get that from that episode that happened at Hibbing, or did you have that before?
I did not get it from that.
Did you have it before that?
I had it before that.
Oh, really? How did you get the nickname Slammer?
Mr. Mike Kelly is the one that's responsible for giving me that nickname. And he did it because I was quite aggressive in my younger years, and I think you can figure that out yourself.
Yeah. And so that name just kind of stuck with you.
Yep.
Okay. So you're in the cop car. They're driving towards the cop shop. Then they kind of gave you an offer, right?
Yeah, they made me an offer. The guy in the police officer turned around and looked at me and started giggling a little bit, and he says, if you promise to be a nice boy, he says, I'll bring you back to the racetrack. He says, but I don't want anything happening once I get back there. He says, but I do have one request of you if you'll accept that deal. And I kind of looked at him and I says, what might that be? And he says, I've never written a ticket for reckless driving on a racetrack. And I'd like to keep that ticket if you don't mind. And I said, well, I certainly don't want it, so you're more than welcome to have it.
That'd be cool to have that ticket today. So did the track end up paying for the damages that the wrecker did to your car?
No.
So you never got reimbursed at all for that?
No.
Okay, that was one of the rumors, is that you had sued the track and they paid to repair the car with a new rear end and blah, blah, blah.
No.
So that wasn't true.
I'm not a sue guy, and I'm not going to be one. So.
Okay. And you were running up toward the front in that feature.
I believe so.
Yeah. How do you think you would have done? Were you on the move, do you remember? Or?
Well, how do you ever tell? Because, I mean, races have been decided on the last lap at Hibbing many times.
Well, did you start on the pole, drift to 4th, or did you start 10th, make your way up to 4th?
I was maintaining and or going forward when all this happened.
So you would have maybe had a top 3 finish. Would have been
possible,
reasonable.
Yeah.
So that would have been some decent money at the time.
Yes, sir.
But instead you end up with no money and a broken car.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever been back to Hibbing since then?
Many times.
Okay. Right away then? Or?
Yeah, I was back the next year or whatever.
Okay.
I just had a different opinion of Hibbing officials, I guess, at that point.
Okay, yeah. Now, you were quite an accomplished racer in your own right. You raced for, 20, 30 years or so?
All of that, 40, yeah.
And then you had a lot of car ownerships.
Oh, yeah.
And you owned the car a lot of times that your brother Rick drove for.
Most of the time, as a matter of fact.
Rick Egersdorf is one of the most accomplished race car drivers in the upper Midwest.
Yep.
Pretty much everybody's heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember you got second one time at the Wazota 100 at Cedar Lake. I think Steve Larson won and you got second. You guys had the red cars with Lonsky lumber on them.
Yep.
Do you remember offhand any major accomplishments at all on your driving career?
Well, I was always there to harass whoever it was that I was by and try to get by him. That's for sure. But I think I got second up here at one of the
Northern Nationals. Or something?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I won one of them. I know.
All right.
At one point.
Yeah. Well, before we go, then, is there anything that you might want to say to anybody that might be watching this video, or any words of encouragement or anything?
Racing's been around my whole life. I've enjoyed every second of it. I spent an awful lot of money doing it. I've been accused of an awful lot of things doing it too. None of that's true, but I will tell you that I spent an awful lot of money working on racing, and I worked for every one of them.
And you started at a very young age, and you're still going today at it.
And I'm still working on them. Yep.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done for the world of racing, putting on one hell of a show Labor Day in the early 80s. That's a show I'll never forget. But thank you very much. And
thanks for the interview.
Oh, great. It's been fun. I'll probably bump into you and see you at the track again sometime.
I'm hoping so.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.